Good morning, beautiful people. It's your favorite real estate agent, Louisiana's favorite realtor, and today we're going to be talking about buying a home, buying a house in good old Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now, whether you're a new buyer, new to the area, or a long-term resident, a first-time home buyer, or an investor looking for cash flow properties, no matter if you're upsizing or downsizing, purchasing or buying a home, it's a pretty big decision. It's a big deal. And honestly, that's why we're shooting this video. That's why we're here, to help you through the home buying process. From the city's unique culture to its affordable living options, we'll cover each and everything you need to know about buying a home in good old Baton Rouge, Louisiana. If you're worried about flood zones, if you're worried about property taxes or home inspection, we've got you covered there too. We'll give you tips and tricks to help you navigate these challenges and find your perfect home. And no matter if you're 9 days or 90 days away from buying or selling in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or the surrounding area, please feel free to reach out to me because we'd love nothing more than to help you achieve your goal. We get calls each and every single day from people just like you, and I'm telling you, absolutely love it. Keep them coming, baby. And if you're interested in a one-on-one consultation or a one-on-one relationship, there's going to be a link down below. Click it, fill out the document. I'll help you. I'll hold your hand through this magic carpet ride of the home buying process. And also, there's my home search app. Download it, register on it. That way you can send me properties, I can send you properties, and we can have a one-on-one relationship, and you're not out here having third-party companies like Zillow, Truly, or any other Realtor.com companies selling your information out to people you don't know. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer, I have the top 3 things that you probably need to be mindful of when you're looking to buy your first home in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or the surrounding area. Number 1, be aware of whether a property is in a flood zone or even flooded, or if not. Flood insurance can actually be a little expensive in some places, so it's just important for you to factor in that in your budget. Number 2, I would say just be mindful of the home inspections. Before purchasing a home, after you submit an offer, you have something called due diligence. In that due diligence, in that offer stage, you have the right to inspect the property. So it's important for a professional home inspector to actually come in, and actually Louisiana has a humid climate which can actually lead to mold. It can lead to termites. You want to make sure somebody's inside looking in all the nooks and crannies to make sure mold or termites aren't there. A thorough inspection can actually help identify any potential problems that may present itself before you actually have to close on the property and before you owe any money on the property. Number 3 is actually something that I recently found out, but the property taxes is something that first-time home buyer or any home buyer needs to be mindful of. Property taxes in Louisiana are higher than the nation average. So first-time home buyers should be prepared for this added expense, if you will. So you have flood zones sometimes, and you have property taxes that are a little bit high. Now, it's nothing to actually get worried about. It's just something to plan for. You don't want to get to the cashier, to the checkout aisle, then realize you're about a couple $100 short every single month on rent. You need to know these things beforehand. It's important to factor in property taxes when determining your overall budget and monthly mortgage payment. And then relocation shoppers. We have a lot of relocation shoppers watching the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. So this section is for all the home buyers, but this section is a little bit for you. Whenever you move to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I'm sure you're well aware of it, but the affordability of living in this area, it's unbeatable. You live like a king, basically. One of the biggest perks of relocating to Baton Rouge, Louisiana is the affordability of living here. The city offers low cost of living, and it's lower than most major cities in the US, which means you can get more bang for your buck. You're selling a house in New Jersey? Buy a mansion in New Orleans. You're selling a condo in California? Buy a castle in Baton Rouge. Welcome to Louisiana, baby, where your dollar gets stretched and you can have so much more. Number 2, we're talking about the delicious food. If you're a foodie, actually, if you're on a diet, be mindful. Just because the food is so delicious, the cuisine in Baton Rouge is to die for. From traditional Cajun and Creole dishes to modern culinary creations, they're here. The melting pot of food is here. You hit the jackpot. Best food on the planet. The city's food scene is actually one of my favorite parts about it. Not my favorite part about Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but it's definitely up there. Who can be sad while eating delicious food? You won't be. Number 3, my favorite, the vibrant culture of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's rich with history and a unique blend of cultures. Baton Rouge offers a vibrant and diverse community. We have music festivals, we have art shows, there's Mardi Gras, we celebrate St. Patrick's Day big time. There's always something exciting happening in this city. And look, Baton Rouge is okay, but you want to get the party really started? Head over, hour down the road to New Orleans. Halloween. It's crazy. Mardi Gras, it's crazy. St. Patrick's Day, it's crazy. Saints game, Pelicans game, it is crazy. The only thing better than going to New Orleans just to get your party on. Now, if you're not a partier, that's perfectly fine. Don't go. That's where all the weird stuff happens anyway. Stay away. Now, if you're not a partier, perfectly fine. But you can find your kicks and your culture in the community however you want it. But tailgating, LSU games, also a number one thing that you have to take part in at least once. Walk through tailgating. Go. It starts the night before an LSU football game. But if you want to taste some of the best dishes, go to a couple boozed up tailgate spots. So cooking jambalaya, pastalaya, jambalaya with grits. You got gumbos, boiled crawfish. You got all of it. It'll hit you hard. Number 4. The number 4 reason to relocate to Baton Rouge, Louisiana is definitely the great outdoors. Baton Rouge is a city that's surrounded by beautiful nature. It's not just swamp and alligators, baby. We have a lot more. Hiking, trails, bike trails, just beautiful nature. We have parks and nature preserves. To the Mississippi River, we have lakes, Pontchartrain. There's plenty of opportunities for you to enjoy the great outdoors and many, many activities. Now for my upsizers and downsizer clients. Now I know some of you are out there thinking, why in the world do I need a real estate agent? And honestly, if you knew the processes, you can absolutely purchase a home without using the real estate agent. Some people need to use the real estate agent. Some people want to be escorted or concierge or have their hand held through the home buying process, and this video is exactly for you. So why do you need a real estate agent? Number 1, just for market knowledge. It's good to have somebody in your corner who knows how a property should be priced, who knows what's selling in the area, who knows how to negotiate closing costs, who knows how to ask for home warranties, who knows the up-to-date contracts. It's good to know the market that you're buying in. Number 2, I would say one of the best reasons to have a real estate agent is the negotiation skills. Not everything is exactly how you see on TV or in the movies. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less. But you want somebody in your corner who negotiates each and every single day and represents their client. That's one of the perks of having somebody in your corner. When you have a real estate agent helping you purchase a property, for one, you have somebody who signs up to be an employee for you almost. You have someone that has your best interests at heart, and if you don't have a real estate agent, you're going up against the seller's agent. You don't have a dog in the fight, really. You're hoping to get the best deal possible, but they have a signed contract with that seller to represent them and get them the best deal possible. How can they get their client, their seller client, the best deal possible if they're getting you the best deal possible? Number 3, I kind of went over it earlier, is going to be the contracts and paperwork involved in purchasing a home. Now, the process involves a lot of paperwork and contracts, and that sometimes can be overwhelming, even for the veteran buyers who purchased 10 houses in their life. Some people just don't like fooling with it. A realtor can help you understand and navigate those waters as well. You want somebody to go line by line and explain everything to you. Number 4 is going to be the professional network that a real estate agent has. Now, realtors have inspectors they've worked with that do great work, lenders they work with that do great work, they have closing attorneys that do great work, they have contractors, anybody from floors to paint to roofs, got you taken care of. Now, the property search is another thing that you need help for. I'm completely aware that you're going to be able to find your own home by yourself. And honestly, a lot of the homes that I might send you might not fit the bill, but it is an elimination process in the home search. But 2 eyes or 2 pair of eyes are better than just 1 pair of eyes. And number 6 is going to be the closing assistance. From scheduling the final walkthrough to ensuring all paperwork is in order, a realtor can actually help guide you through the final stages of the home buying process to ensure a smooth and successful closing. Now let's go head on over to the computer and let's go over a few tips and tricks in buying a home right now. All right, so let's get into it. Tips for buying a home in today's market. Now I'm going to be reading straight from here. I'm going to be sharing the screen with you. Let's share that screen. Let's go. So tips for buying in today's housing market. And it's kind of clear that the housing market has been defined by the higher interest rates, and it's gotten people a little scared, and that's perfectly fine. What are they going to do? Are they going to go up? Are they going to do? Whenever you purchase a home, those rates lock in. So it's really just, can you afford it? That's the only thing that you need to be worried about. Regardless if they're going up, regardless if they're going down, can you afford purchasing a home right now? If the answer is yes, let's keep going. If the answer is no, you can still watch. But if you're thinking about buying a home, here are a few things that you can do to help prepare for your purchase. Number 1, you always want to get pre-qualified, pre-approved from a local lender. Getting pre-approved from a local lender is important in multiple ways. Number 1, you have to be pre-approved in order to start looking for homes. You can't not know how much you can afford and then just start looking at homes, because you're either shopping outside of your price point or you don't have a price point. You have to know if you can actually borrow money and how much you're allowed to borrow. Now, if you have cash, that's awesome. All we have to see is just a quick proof of funds, and then we can get the party started. But you need to get pre-approved by a local real estate lender. I understand that everybody has banks that they work with, but a local, you want somebody who knows our market, who's inside of our market, who knows the real estate trends in the area, and you want a real estate specific lender because they have sometimes hundreds of banks that they get money from. Number 2 is expand your search area and criteria if the perfect house is not where you're looking. And I hate to break it to a lot of the home shoppers out there, but there's no such thing as the perfect house. Once you buy the perfect house, when you're inside, it's not perfect. It's an elimination process, the home buying process. You eliminate the ones that definitely won't work until, boop, the perfect ones appear. But if for whatever reason, right now, since it's a low inventory market, say you want it to be in Baton Rouge, but you only had $200,000 to spend, but you want a 4-bedroom house with an acre. Well, in Baton Rouge, that sucker doesn't exist unless it is a complete dump. So you might have to expand it and go a few miles out of Baton Rouge to where you can get that 4-bedroom, 1-acre property that's in good condition. A lot of times, the farther away from the bigger cities you get, the more your money can stretch. It's ridiculous how much you can get, really, if you just drive about 10 to 15 minutes outside of the city limits. Let me know. There are other financial options that you need to explore. So you want to get with the trusted lender to see what type of products they have. There's always some gimmick that lenders have out there, and no offense to any lenders, but like they'll find creative ways to give you money, all right? And they don't get paid until you close. No one gets paid. So look for grants, gift funds, and down payment assistance. You can go to downpaymentresource.com. Honestly, if you need down payment assistance, you might need to just save, honestly. So I wouldn't even promote that. I don't know why I even wrote that, but it's good to know. Downpaymentresources.com if you need help with the down payment. But honestly, if you can't afford your down payment, you can't afford a house. And a lot of times that stuff costs a little bit more money overall. So you might be borrowing $3,000, but it's going to cost you $10,000 to borrow $3,000. So it's whatever you want to do. Downpaymentresources.com. Never used it, but that's an option for anybody who needs down payment assistance. Now, we've kind of already went over this, but as a real estate agent, what am I going to do for you? as a buyer's agent, I help you get in touch with lenders, inspectors, closing attorneys, contractors. You know, we know everybody. So after you purchase the property, if you need to get the floors done, if you need new paint, you need a fence, there you go. We'll take care of it. We hold your hand through the home buying process. We introduce you to that lender. That's the actual starting point. The moment you decide you need a house, you get pre-approved. We get you in touch with a few lender options. You don't have to use any of the people that we refer to you, but we wouldn't refer you to anybody who we don't know does great service, has great competitive rates for you. So it's always good just to know. It's always good just to know where you're at. Help finding the house. We can help you sell a home if you actually need to sell a home in order to buy. Most transactions that aren't first-time home buyers or investors, they need to sell in order to purchase. That's most of the deals that I've ever worked. So we can line that up perfectly. Get in touch with me. We'll be able to make that happen for you. So that's nothing to stress about. All right. And then if you come across for sale by owners, just let them know, because a lot of times just because they don't want a help with the real estate agent to sell their property, everybody assumes they can do it themselves until they can't. Most can't. But you just let them know that you have a real estate agent. Majority of the time, for sale by owners are more than willing to actually pay for a buyer's commission. They just didn't want to have to pay double, basically the seller and the buyer. Writing and negotiating contracts and offers is another thing that I want to touch on. There's multiple spots that you need help negotiating. The offer, sales price, closing costs, home warranty, after inspection, after appraisal. And you will need to put up a deposit, by the way. That's something that I didn't talk about earlier. It's typically an earnest. It's called earnest money, and it's typically 1% of what the offer price is. However, it's whatever you want to put up. But it's basically you putting some skin in the game so the seller knows that you're serious. I know if I'm representing a seller, I am not going to advise my seller on accepting an offer that doesn't have some type of deposit or earnest money on it. Now, the earnest money goes towards the purchase of the property. So if you put $1,000, you owe $1,000 less at closing. So you only lose it if you back out of the deal. That's why you have some skin in the game. So if I was representing the seller and a buyer comes up here without any type of earnest money, that means they can back out at the very last minute. I would say, hell no, we won't go. Don't accept this offer, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller. We don't do that. So, but I'd always suggest doing it just so you're a serious buyer. And again, you don't lose it unless you back out at any unless you back out outside of the contract guidelines. Now, scheduling and negotiating inspection and appraisal, I just kind of touched on that. But your inspection typically costs around $300 to $500, depending on the size of the house and depending on who you use. Now, there's tons of inspectors out there. We work with a few. I'll be able to get you in touch with a handful of them. You just pick whoever you like the most, really. Appraisers. Now, if you're borrowing money, your bank, they require you to get an appraisal done on the property, and that's typically around $500. And they require you to get an appraisal because they're out here making sure you're not overpaying for a property. They don't care if you underpay, but if you're borrowing money, 9 times out of 10, you're borrowing 90%, 95, 97%, and you're only paying like 3% down. So they're protecting their investment. So a lot of times you don't even have to worry about overpaying for a property because your bank's not going to let you do it. A lot of buyers are worrying like, am I overpaying for it? It's like, well, if it appraises, you're good. And I'll be able to help guide you through that. Like, we run comps. We make very strategic offers. I help negotiate the highest level to get my buyers the best price, best deals possible. You want that house? You get that house. You want that outdoor furniture? We're going to get that outdoor furniture too. Just let me know. All right. The inspector will check the home for safety issues like termites, mold. We went over that earlier. They go from top to bottom. They take their job very seriously. That's why it's about $500. But they'll give you a full PDF report after it's done. And they'll use like kind of like a red X kind of tally system where they'll like flag anything like chip paint. Now, that's some things that you don't have to worry about. Cosmetic issues, sellers aren't typically going to negotiate for it. But what we're looking for, safety issues. That's why we have the inspection. We don't want the house falling on us in our sleep. The inspector will help do that for us, help make sure it doesn't. Now, the appraiser is basically, again, like I said, making sure that you're not overpaying for the property. Inspectors like going to the doctor. Now, next slide we have is the buyer's roadmap, and this has a lot of stuff, but basically it's meet with the real estate professional that you feel will represent you to the highest, represent you to the highest form, and then you want to get pre-approved with the lender. You want to chat with multiple lenders because their closing costs, like that's what you pay. You pay for a down payment, and you pay for closing costs. And closing costs are going to be loan origination. Basically, you're paying the lender and the closing attorney for the work that they're doing. Again, you're not paying the real estate fees. That's up to the seller, and seller pays their agent. Their agent breaks me off. You're responsible for paying for the people that directly work for you. Inspector, appraisal, closing costs, which are loan origination fees and legal fees. So you should have about 6%. That's $6,000 for every $100,000 you're spending. It might be lower. It might be higher. That's an estimate. But that's what it costs to buy a property. And honestly, $6,000, like $12,000 for a $200,000 house is not bad. That's the deal. It beats renting, where you're just throwing your money away every month. So once you get pre-approved, now it's time to start looking at properties. Let's go shopping. Everybody loves shopping. So do I. We're going to go see houses. What's wrong with that? I'm going to be wearing a suit most of the time with a nice tie. All right, so once you start looking at houses online, you start narrowing down the areas. You're going to go drive these subdivisions. You're going to go make sure it's an environment you want to live in before we actually go inside the house. This is like your responsibility that you need to be doing, because we don't want to get to the door, waste the seller's time, waste your time, waste my time. We don't want to get to the door and you're like, Scott, this neighborhood is sketchy. I don't want to live here. Okay, well, you need to check Google Maps, Google Earth. Check the environment. Is it next to a railroad track? Is it next to a cemetery? Some people like that kind of stuff. Some people don't. But you want to cancel out. It's an elimination process before it's finding the perfect home. So drive by the neighborhood. You're not just buying the house. You're buying your neighbors. You're buying the community, the neighborhood. You're buying the gas station that you're going to be filling up every single morning before work or every single evening before you go home. You're buying the Whole Foods, or you're buying the Albertsons right across the corner. You're buying the community, okay? So you want to cancel out that community if you don't like it. After that, then we start looking inside the properties. We're doing tours. We're doing site. We're looking to see if there's any visual issues with the property. But we're going to wait for the inspection period before we start saying this doesn't look right. Now, if it doesn't look right, meaning the house is a complete dump and falling apart with foundation and structural issues, yeah, we'll move on. But let a professional tell you what's wrong with the property, which brings me to the next point. Once you like a property, we put an offer in. It gets either accepted, countered, or rejected. And then if it gets accepted, we go into the due diligence period where you have it inspected. The inspection happens after you agree to terms with the seller. Hey seller, this is $500,000 house. I'm going to give you $500,000 for it, but I'm going to have it inspected before I give you any money. You're just giving them a piece of paper saying, hey, you'll give them $500,000 if everything checks out. If I can get the loan approved, if I can get through the inspection period, if it appraises. So during due diligence, you can back out of the transaction for any reason. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed, don't want this house no more. You wake up and then a better house comes up during due diligence, get out. Wouldn't suggest it, but sometimes it happens. You're under contract, you have the property inspected, you move on to the appraisal process. The bank has somebody come out, they hire a third-party company, they make sure it's worth $500,000. Now, if this property is worth less than $500,000, bank's only going to give you what they say it's worth. So if you put in an offer for $500,000, bank says it's $190 or $495, there's a $5,000 difference. They'll give you that $495. But either you're going to have to come out of come out of pocket $5,000, the seller's going to have to lower their price by $5,000, or y'all are going to have to meet in the middle. That's another negotiation point where we will help you get what you want for the price that you want it at. All right. So after it passes the appraisal process, we're basically doing the final details and we're preparing for close, which means the lender is pushing papers, making sure you are who you say you were, you haven't lost your job, you can afford this house. And then once all that's done, you have a new house. Boom. It's usually 30 to 45 days after you put an offer in on a property that you move into that property. And why you should work with me. I'm a husband, I'm a realtor, I'm a father. I have a podcast. Check it out, P2P Podcast, where we interview people that went to jail, they came back and they did something with their lives. I'm also an investor. I have rental properties all across the southern states. I flip houses in Baton Rouge. I love it. And I'm your best friend in real estate. I can help you buy and sell your house. If you want to know everything about eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good, the bad, the ugly of living in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and the surrounding area, I want you to reach out to me. As I mentioned earlier, I get calls each and every single day from people just like you who are looking to move in, move out of the area, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're 9 days or 90 days away from making that decision, I want you to give me a call, shoot me a text, click the link down below. Click that link. Fill in the information. It's only for me. You're only just giving me your contact information. Once you submit that information, it'll tell me what you're looking for, how much you have to spend, your knowledge of the real estate market, and then I give you a call. I actually just shoot you a text. I'm like, hey, when would you like to schedule a call? And then we schedule that call and you tell me what you're looking for. There's also a link for you to click on for a free consultation. All consultations are free, and honestly, I don't get paid until the transaction closes. So there's no fee or payment due for you just to educate yourself on the home buying process. If anything, I'd just like you to educate you. I'd love to help you buy a house. It helps provide my family and my business with opportunities to grow. But if you just need to know a few questions, like, I can answer them. But guess what? Buying a house is hard. It's fun, but there's a lot of things that go into it. And I'm looking forward to helping you. Now drop that.